Hi, good morning everybody. Welcome to the Early Bird. We got some games to talk about as one of our big rivals is out the door. Once again, the Leafs kind of bow kind of early in the playoffs. I know they passed the first round, but the truth is they were upset guys in the second round. And this has got to be disappointing for Leafs fans. You don't make the playoffs to win the first round. All right. You make the playoffs to win 4 rounds. That should be the mentality. Let's go into Toronto, see what happened here. Panthers win Game 5 in overtime, eliminate Maple Leafs in East second round. We see there 3-2 Florida overtime. The numbers? Toronto outshoot them 52-43. They have the edge in faceoffs, a wide edge, 62% to 38. The Panthers 1 for 2 in the power play. The Leafs 0 for 2. The Panthers had 49 hits. The Leafs had 63. 20 blocks for Florida, 24 for Toronto. 19 giveaways Florida, 22 for Toronto. Shots on goal. First period, 13-12 Toronto. Second period, 18-16 Florida. Third period, 14-7 Toronto. In the overtime, 9-6 Toronto. There's that final, 50-43. Scoring. Ekblad opens it up at 3:31 on the power play from Forsling and Verhaeghe. And then late in the period, Verhaeghe scores from Duclair and Ekblad to make it 2-0 Florida after 1. Second period, Riley scores for them to make it 7:50, and the Leafs are right back in this after Florida had many chances to make it 3-0. Many chances. Couldn't do it, and it looked like the Leafs had their opportunity to get back in this game now from Lafferty and Kempf. We go into the third, Nylander with minutes remaining, 4.5 minutes remaining from Tavares and Brody, tie it up with the big goal, forcing overtime. And as we've seen in the overtime, Gudas completely makes that play happen from top to bottom. Even winds up screening the goalie eventually, and Nick Cousins scores the big one at 15:32. Season done for Toronto. I mean, I can't imagine many Sabres fans not cheering on Florida in this series, to be honest. And it's not, it's not because I think it would have been maybe a 50-50 split if it would have been, let's say, Boston and Toronto. It would have been kind of a mix of people. But I think for me, the easy call was for me I was cheering for Florida because Florida is not exactly a team with playoff success in their history, folks, But Toronto have to make a decision now. They have to make a decision. What are they going to do with their franchise going forward? They have to make a decision because this thing about sitting on the fence all the time, of teasing your fans, we're going to have playoff success. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. This is what they do every year to their fans. And their fans, I'm going to tell you something, you boneheaded, stupid Toronto fans that did this. You fans that went out there and cheered publicly, we want Florida, okay? Don't think that Paul Maurice is not at least an intelligent enough coach to take that videotape of you fans cheering, get a team meeting together and say, we have to talk, gets the team together, puts them in the room, puts up the film, shows it to them, and tells them, okay, you can leave now. You plant that into the players' heads. You don't fire up your opponents. But Toronto fans, they make Canada look dumb, to be honest. I apologize on behalf of Canada for how stupid Toronto fans make us look. I really do. I mean, my goodness, sometimes you just got to keep your mouth shut and go after the opponent. But then again, hockey fans in general are stupid. They believe there's a conspiracy, everywhere. They really do, folks. But then again, Canada are sheep. People are still wearing masks outside. Shame on this country half the time. All right, let's go out west. Golden Knights defeat Oilers in Game 5, take lead in Western second round, 4-3 Vegas final. Frustrating game to watch if you're pulling for Edmonton. The numbers, 35-31 for Edmonton, but Vegas had the good edge in faceoffs at 57% to 43. Oilers scored 3 in the power play out of 4 opportunities. The Knights 2 for 7. 24 hits apiece, 13 blocks Edmonton, 14 blocks Vegas. Giveaways, Edmonton with a bigger margin there, 14, and Vegas 6. Shots on goal. Edmonton have the edge in the first, 15-11. Then the edge goes to Vegas in the second, 11-8. Then Edmonton in the third, 12-9 for that 35-31 total. Scoring. McDavid opens it up at 3:02, 1-0 Edmonton on the power play from Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Then Eichel replies 50 seconds later from Martinez and Marchessault, 1-1. We move on about halfway through the first. Hyman from Nugent Hopkins and Bouchard on the power play makes it 2-1 Edmonton after 1. Second period. Stone with his fifth from Eichel and Marchessault on the power play at 14:05. Riley Smith from Barbashev and Carlson at 14:34, again on the power play. Then Nicholas Hague, kind of a backbreaker that one, from Eichel and Marchessault at 15:34, 4-2 Vegas after 2. We go into the third. McDavid pulls them within 1 on the power play at 2:40, and that from Bouchard, and that is as close as Edmonton would get. It was a frustrating game to watch. Oh my God, I was so mad watching this game. I was. Edmonton, what did them in, really plain and simple, they couldn't score 5 and 5. Every time they had the puck 5 and 5, folks, I just didn't think they were going to get it done. I didn't. It was that frustrating to watch. So, we'll see. Nobody's been able to win 2 in a row in this series, so if the Oilers can hold serve back on their home ice and push it to a Game 7, then somebody's due to win 2 games in a row, the way I see it. But somebody's due to win 2 now, going back to Edmonton also. So we'll see how that pans out. This has, for me, Game 7 and overtime written all over it, this series. We'll see. Now, Toronto. Toronto fans, stop it. Stop it. Stop thinking that you have this great team that every year. Stop it. Stop doing this to yourself. Try to just be a little realistic and say, you know what, evaluate your team, look at it and see where your weaknesses are and cut your losses and move on. For Toronto fans, what they don't seem to understand, some of them do, but some of them, the boneheaded ones that, they'll go outside and pretend they know these players. I've seen these videos where the bandwagon fans go out there, oh yeah, I thought he played great tonight, and this guy doesn't even exist, and they're making videos on the Toronto fans doing stuff like this. It's like, I think what Toronto fans need to realize is that that anybody can beat you in a series. Doesn't matter who it is. If you haven't learned that in the last 5-6 years, you're never going to. Anybody can beat you in a series, but the truth is, anybody can beat anybody come playoff time. Anybody can beat anybody. So firing up another team is never a good idea. And firing up a leader like Tkachuk is never a good idea. You heard what Tkachuk said in his post-game. He goes, they're not chanting, we want Florida now. You see, they knew. They knew what you fans did. They fed off it. They defeated you because of it. That's what happened. Don't think it isn't. I've been in those dressing rooms, not in the NHL, but I've been in those dressing rooms where you get a team fired up because they're disrespecting you somehow. Forget it. They're going to bring out their best game on you. Toronto, this is a great era for Toronto Maple Leaf fans, believe it or not, folks. This is a great era. This is a great Toronto team. It's a team not smartly built, though. They're not built smart, but it's still a great team because of their high-end talent. But it's not built properly. You have too many glaring weak spots on this team. Defense is obvious. But we've said this before, right? We've had these talks before. I've said it all year. Their blue line just is not a Stanley Cup blue line. I did think Toronto was going to win this series, though. I had that feeling before the series. I honestly did. I thought Toronto had maybe what it took to get through another round, But I have to admit, once I seen them start getting arrogant online, I said, they're going to lose again. That was my first thing. I said, they're going to lose again. They're going to find a way to lose this team because their fans just don't get it, It's the best era in Toronto Maple Leafs history, possibly, but the most disappointing at the same time. This is what's going on in Toronto, folks. It really is. I say it all the time. It's going to go down in history as the best team they ever put together with the most disappointing results. And Toronto, if they're going to do anything right this offseason, they're going to get rid of Dubas, they're going to get rid of Keefe, they're going to get rid of Shanahan. Out the door they go. This is what Toronto should do. Start fresh, bring a new clean slate, a new regime in. You still got some good talent on this team. It might entice Matthews to stay. It might. I don't think he's going to, but it might. Then you got to look at moving Tavares. Good luck with that. Nobody's going to take that pylon off your hands. It's not happening, okay? Marner, if you can move him somehow, some way, do it. Get rid of him. Nylander. I don't know. Maybe Marner you keep. Nylander you should try to keep. I think Marner you should try to keep. Matthews is going to walk. But Tavares, folks, this was the end-all, be-all of throwing the monkey wrench into the engine of your rebuild, was signing John Tavares. This is what put the damper in your future. This is what's caught up to you. And if that series is not proof of it, nothing ever will be. Nothing. Because this Toronto team should have done better the last 5 years. They haven't. I don't see them going forward from this point on with a bright future in the playoffs. I just don't. And they've got to do something. They've got to make something happen over there while they got this team intact. And I don't think you got the right general manager. He's throwing temper tantrums on the camera. It's a bad look. It is. It's a bad look. But Toronto fans say, I love the passion. I love the passion. Well, I'll tell you what. That passion didn't work. You got to have a general manager that's calm, cool, collected, and he's just like watching a game like this on the ice, and he's observing instead of reacting like a fan that paid, and had his hot dog knocked out of his hands on the ground. There's a lot of things I think that's wrong with Toronto. First of all, he's a kid. He shouldn't have even been a general manager to start with. He's way too damn young, Dubas, to be a GM. How is a guy a general manager when some of the guys on the team are older? Doesn't make sense. There's a lot of things there that don't make sense. But Toronto need, from this point on, I believe, wipe it out, Toronto. Get rid of all of it. Get rid of Tavares if you can. He's not a leader. Get rid of him. He's an overpaid older guy now, and I don't see how you're going to be able to move that contract. But this Toronto team, the guys they should try and keep intact, I believe, are, to a degree, are Marner, to a degree. But they got to keep Nylander. And I don't know if you're going to be able to keep Matthews. I don't know. I don't know. The only way I could see him maybe sticking around is if you guys get Tavares out of there and you name Matthews as captain. That might work. That might. All right, guys. See you in the next one.